Hello everyone, welcome back. Welcome to Dota 2 for absolute beginners. This is my attempt at making Dota content as someone who is themselves a noob at Dota. The reason I want to make this video is because I didn't play Dota for years because I didn't think I would be able to, essentially. I didn't think I'd have the time to get into it properly or get any good. Like, a lot of multiplayer games are very forbidding, right? And Dota is kind of legendarily so. And I also didn't think I'd enjoy the kind of control scheme. Like, I am not really a Diablo player, not really an isometric kind of player. And yet, I tried it on a whim in an internet cafe, discovered that it had a difficulty so easy that the bots just stand around and do nothing. Oh, by the way, it has bots, so I didn't know that. And it's actually still really fun, just like steering your shiny hero around and making them stronger and stronger and bullying your way around the map. Actually, just really enjoyable. I've got something like 260 hours in this game now, and I'm just starting to branch out and learn a second hero to play in multiplayer. But you don't have to play it like that, right? You don't. The game is incredibly, incredibly deep, but I also spent a long time before I ever touched a game with a human, just playing with the bots, having fun, learning the game. And that's what I'm going to do for you today. I originally had this planned as like some kind of lecture style series where I was going to go through the UI and go through different parts of, here are all the heroes and look at what they do and stuff. But what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to play a game against some easy bots, such as you might do yourself when you pick it up, or if you pick it up, rather. And I'm going to explain how it works, what's going on, and start to look towards the strategy of the game. So, if you have never played Dota before, I'll go over the interface and talk about kind of why everything is here and why there are so many things in this game and what they do. And then as the game goes on, hopefully, with that stuff out of the way, I'll be able to talk a bit more of the strategic stuff that I've picked up, so that if you're trying to learn Dota or you're interested in playing it and have the basics down already, you might hopefully be able to glean an inkling of like, what is compelling about this game and how do people approach it. I'm going to try and go over that as best I can while playing. Do not expect competence. So the game provides some amount of tutorials, which I would, if you've literally never played before, it teaches you how to like move your hero and control the camera and stuff. That's very useful. I'd recommend doing that. But I'm going to skip that bit and go to this. So if you hit play Dota down here, and you can select to practice with bots. Pick solo, even if you're playing with a friend locally. Co-op will put you into like a queue with matchmaking with randomers on the internet. But if you just want to play with your friends in Steam, pick solo. Passive or easy, probably what you want to go for when you're starting. Passive, the bots literally just stand around. I played my first few games that way. It's a really good way of like getting used to all the different buttons there are to click on and feeling your way around. I'm going to pick easy for this video because I don't think I want to play a high difficulty game while also streaming it. Convenient. I had to think about which heroes to play for this. There's a lot of heroes in this game, and they're divided into a lot of different categorizations. The UI breaks them down into strength, which is like tanky, tough heroes that get lots and lots and lots of health. They tend to be very survivable, slow, usually, but like tough and hit like a ton of bricks. Agility heroes are nimble and fast. They tend to do lots of damage, but be kind of squishy. And intelligence heroes are good at spellcasting. And they tend to be the most manipulative heroes with abilities that can turn the tide of battle even against numerically superior opponents. I'm going to play Wraith King today. I'll just lock him in now in case one of the bots steals him. That would make me sad. Wraith King is this big, big undead chap. He can throw a magical skull that stuns people. He can heal himself and his allies around him. And he can summon skeletons that attack your opponent for you. And then sometimes when you kill him, he gets back up, which is pretty good. I'm just going to pick up some items to start with. We'll cover items in a moment. I just need to do this now so I don't forget. Get this nice little intro screen. Apparently we're playing against an actual god and a short guy with a sniper rifle. And here's me in all my shiny green glory.
It's Wraith King, not Rage King.
So, this is what you'll see when you open the game initially. We've got a little list up here with all the heroes on and a timer. We've got a mini-map in the bottom left that gives us a rough overview of the battlefield. As you can see, we can only actually properly see some of it near where those big green blobs are. Those are our towers. We like those. They're good. Towers are useful. Most of the map is currently invisible to us, but we'll be able to see things near our heroes and friendly structures. Down here, we have my stats. I've got some little mouse over thing here that will tell me exactly in detail all of the different numbers on my hero, which I can conveniently ignore. This little number here is my level. Similar to an RPG, your heroes level up over the course of the game. So I start out with basically nothing. And by the end of this game, I'm going to be a monstrous hero, ready and willing to crush his enemies. Over in here, I've got my health bar and my mana bar. You need mana to cast spells. You need health to not die. And my abilities, of which I can choose to upgrade one of three. The one on the right I get later. So I'm going to pick this one, Wraith Fire Blast, which lets me stun people like that. That all happened a bit fast, didn't it? Ooh, everyone's fighting. I'm going to die. I'm definitely going to die. Let me just, like, eat a tree. Ooh. There we go. This little health item that lets me eat trees to gain health. Oh, God. Oh, God. Everything is horrible. Wow. That was a bit frantic, wasn't it? What just happened there? So, at minute 0 in Dota, these things called bounty runes spawn on the map. There's 4 of them. 2 on each side vertically and 2 on each side horizontally, on either side of the river that bisects the map. The bounty runes, they give a small amount of gold to everybody on your team if you pick them up. So they basically encourage people to group up and start fighting right early on. This one's still free because we were all busy killing each other. So I'm just going to click on that to grab it. Now we all got a bunch of money. So that's like the first thing that happens in most games of Dota is there'll be some fighting around the runes. See this? This is a tower. This is my tower. I'm on the dire side for this map, who start in the top right. We're evil, I guess. So our towers are black and scary. Further down is this other tower. It's a different colour. That means it's bad, so we have to go and hit it. But if I just walk up to the tower and hit it, I'll probably just die because it's too strong for me. So instead, I need to get better at the game, which means I need to level up. You see these little things in the middle? These are called creeps. As you can see, they're 2 different colours as well. And we need to kill them, because when they die, they drop experience for everyone standing near them. And if you deal the killing blow to a creep, you get gold. And gold lets you buy items. And items are the best. What are you doing? So, as you can see, if you look at the minimap on the left here, I'm just going to pause the game so I can wander around and explain some things. As you can see right now, the fighting is roughly split up into 3 places. There's my little corner, where I am and one of my teammates is, and there's 2 of the enemy team. And we're quite near their tower, but also one of our towers is back here. So there's kind of this area between them where we fight, basically. Because we can't really go past these towers. Like, you can walk around them, but there's nothing there. So you may as well just go here where the creeps are. Over in this middle area, exactly in the middle of the map, we have another 2 heroes. One of mine and one of theirs. And up in the top corner, we've got the final 2 pairs of 2 heroes. One of whom is currently in a sorry state. And here's one of our towers that's kind of nearby. And here's one of their towers that's kind of far away. These areas that you can kind of see lit up on the map where all the towers are, these are called lanes. You may or may not have heard of this concept from just people talking about MOBAs, but lanes... The reason lanes are interesting is because the creeps walk down them. The reason the creeps walk down them is because the game designer said so, but it kind of helps portion out the early action around the map. If we just Like, there's 10 people on this map, and the map's massive. As you can probably see, if I just start scrolling, it takes quite a while to get to the other end, right? The map's very large, so if we all just wandered around and tried to find each other to get kills, like you do in, like, a first-person shooter, we just never see each other. So, the game gives us this kind of objective. These lane creeps are relatively easy to kill and give you quite a lot of gold and experience. You can kill your own creeps if they're damaged as well. So if my enemies weren't here, I could kill all of these creeps and have all of the experience and all of the gold to myself. Then I would get lots of XP and lots of gold, and I'd be very rich. And they'd get nothing. So they need to come here both to kill the creeps, but also to stop me from killing the creeps. It's kind of a self-balancing mechanism. The creeps provide an incentive for us to all pile in and stick around and fight them. And later on, when the creeps become less important, and it's more about pushing over these big towers that we mentioned, the game kind of breaks up more, and there's a lot more fighting around different areas of the map. And you'll also see people farming in these areas here, these kind of currently dark areas. Sorry, farming is killing creeps to get gold and XP. I shouldn't use too much jargon. This is called the jungle. There's currently nothing in it, but you get jungle creeps as well. But they're much harder to kill than these ones, and give you less gold and XP. So they're much less valuable for much more effort required to kill them. So we're all incentivized, while we're all weak and squishy and crap, to hang out in the lanes where the easy to kill creeps are. Because these creeps are all, like, the creeps are relatively tough, but they're all hitting each other, so I don't have to do anything. I just wait, and then when one of them's really low, I click it, and hopefully I get the kill. You might also be wondering why the lanes are grouped the way they are. Why there's 2 people in this lane, and for each side, and 1 person from each side in this lane, and so on. And that's a more complicated question, and it isn't always exactly like this at higher strategic levels. But it's kind of to do with what there's room for. I think is a good basic answer. Like, over here, if I go in by myself, and if I kill all these creeps, I'm just going to end up near this tower, and the tower's going to kill me. So I can't really do anything by myself if I'm on my own, if there's one other person there. The tower is also very easy to defend, so what people tend to do is they'll put their squishiest, most kind of gold and XP dependent hero near this tower. That's the sniper here. Sniper is really weak early on, but later on he becomes absolutely terrifying because he can just ping you to death from far away, and he does a bunch of damage. Early on he's very squishy, so he needs the protection of this tower that's really close by, like right round the corner. But he's still kind of weak even with the tower, so it's kind of a good idea to pair him with another hero that doesn't need as much gold, because they can just hang around and babysit him. So in this case, this Dragon Knight is just protecting the sniper from me. But I can't beat up 2 people and a tower. So it's advantageous to give me another person as well, who's this Witch Doctor. Witch Doctor's a very powerful support hero. And he might actually help me get a kill on the sniper if an occasion comes up, because he can immobilize the sniper, he can make him take more damage from my attacks, and he can heal me as well. So this Witch Doctor is a very powerful kind of enabler for my relatively straightforward direct damage. So my job in this lane is to kill the creeps, and Witch Doctor is to try and protect me and harass these 2 so they get off my back, and we're all trying to do the same thing to each other. And you get exactly the same logic in reverse over here. You want a squishy hero to be near this big tower, which means you want powerful enemy heroes that can fight near the tower, which means you want a hero to defend your squishy hero. And that doesn't leave a whole ton of people to stand in this middle area. And the middle area is also very small. There's nothing around, right? There's no areas where you can, like, outmaneuver the opponent. There's no jungle creeps to manipulate nearby. They're kind of tucked away. So what you do is, in the middle lane, is you put one hero that's, like, pretty self-reliant, that's just going to 1v1 the other person for the first bit, and then they're going to get more levels than anybody else because they're not sharing the gold or experience with another person. So at some point they're going to start wandering around and wreaking havoc. So that was kind of a digression, but I've only just told you what the UI looks like. But the fundamentals of this whole laning thing, like why it's interesting, boil down to like, each of these heroes has its own specific role in the game. And we've kind of sorted ourselves into lanes, largely by convention, right? This is just how people play Dota most of the time. It doesn't have to be like this, and often in pro games it isn't. But we've kind of sorted ourselves into this arrangement because we think it's the most efficient. The most efficient way to play and to survive the early game and to get to the point where we can try and overpower our opponents with real strength. Because it's quite hard to kill people at level 1, especially with creeps in the way. We're all kind of weak. But later on, whoever comes out of this early stage with more gold and more experience and more momentum has a huge advantage. So we're just kind of jostling to set ourselves up in this early game stage. So, enough talking, more clicking on things. So we're back to the action, and currently I'm just waiting for a creep to get low so I can kill it. You notice that I'll just literally just stand around, not hit them, and then just wait. This is called last hitting, and it's because the gold is only awarded to whoever deals the killing blow to something, whether that's a creep or a hero or a jungle creep, anything like that. That means there's not any point in me actually like taking the time to hit the creeps because my attacks are kind of slow. So if I hit one too early and it doesn't die, I might not have an attack ready for when it... Let's say I messed that one up. I hit it too early and then I couldn't attack it again before it actually died. So I lost some gold there. And that one I just didn't get to in time. Whoa, hello. Some stuff's happening. Time to get my stun out. Actually, time to run away because I'm dying. So hopefully here I can... Ooh, hello. Might get this kill? Yeah. So as you can see there, I ran towards my tower, and the tower shot my opponent to death for me with a little help from Witch Doctor doing some damage. And now, I've got all these creeps to myself, and I'm a very happy bunny. I just need to not die to the sniper poking me. So I'm just going to sit here and try and kill these creeps to the best of my questionable abilities for a while. Whoop. And hopefully not get shot to death. That would be quite bad. Oh, there it goes. Man, that sniper's got some range. Okay, so I've now died. That's normally quite bad, but I've respawned basically immediately, so that's okay. The death timer gets longer and longer as you go. So I'm going to buy a teleport scroll, which lives in this extra inventory slot over here. I haven't even talked about items yet. That's what I should cover next. Items. So I mentioned gold a few times. And let's talk about what you do with it. So this little section here of my is my item inventory. Right now, I've got a little shield which protects me from some incoming damage. A bunch of little health items that allow me to eat trees to gain HP, which I've now used up because I've been getting shot a lot. Because sniper deals a bunch of damage. And a mango, which gives me a little bit of extra health regeneration while it's sitting there. And then I can eat it to immediately gain a bunch of mana. So these are all little early game consumable items that allow me to sustain myself in the early stages. Wow, I have a bunch of money that I haven't spent yet. Let's go and do that, shall we? So this here, this is the shop, the shop UI. The actual shops are physical locations on the map. There's 3 of them. Oh, sorry, there's not 3 of them. There's more than 3 of them. There's 3 of them kind of per team. There's 1 in each of the side lanes. I'm going to die again. That's bad. We made it. Okay. Let's go heal up. Yeah, there's physical shops on the map, but I've got this big UI that allows me to navigate the honestly dizzying array of options at my disposal and pick the ones I want. This bit on the left, this is called a guide. So they recognize that there's a bunch of items in here, and you can't really be possibly expected to find them all quickly. So you can set up these in-game helpers called guides. This was written by somebody else. I haven't had to make this for myself. You can just go in and pick one. This is by a player called Immortal Faith, who I find makes good guides for, I think, every hero. I think they've done every hero. Which means that I don't have to worry about, like, knowing or memorizing Wraith King intimately. I know how he works, roughly. And I can use the guide to cover up the rest. Let's do this. So, in most games, your item purchases go something like this. You buy some starting items when you begin. You might vaguely remember me doing that. I've used most of them up now. For most melee heroes, you might buy this thing called a Quelling Blade, which lets you deal more damage to creeps. Doesn't work very well on ranged heroes, so mostly only melee heroes play it. Hi, friends. I'm just going to run at this sniper a bit. Let's get some damage in, shall we? Yeah, be scared. Get out of my face. The next thing you'll usually want to buy is a pair of boots. Because, like, this terrain is quite rough. And good shoes are essential if you're going to be on your feet for 45 minutes, like Wraith King is. Even undead kings need comfortable footwear. Now, the real reason is, so boots give you movement speed. And movement speed is very valuable. But they don't stack very well. You only get the movement speed from one pair of boots. There's a few different types of boots. And they all give you quite significant bonuses, because the fact that you can't stack them means they're quite efficient. They can kind of be balanced a little more efficiently. I'm going to die again. There it goes. Oh well, let's just buy some stuff. So I bought myself a power treads. And I did that by buying 3 different items. This is where it gets more complicated. So items combine into other items. What this means, it sounds complicated, but it's mostly an upside, because it allows you to buy smaller items while you're saving up for a big one. It actually helps. So power treads allow me to switch between a bonus to my strength, a bonus to my agility, and a bonus to my intelligence. You might remember those from earlier, when I was looking at the different types of hero. I'm going to leave mine on strength for the most part, because Wraith King is a strength hero, and that means I benefit more from strength. Hello, Dragon Knight. Wouldn't you like to take a lot of damage? So I'm moving faster now, which helps me chase these opponents down. And I've also got a significant stat bonus from these boots, which means I can quite happily beat the tar out of this would-be dragon and scare him out of my lane. Is, oh no, oh no. I mean, if he's going to stand here, I'm going to hit him. And look, I get to summon skeletons. Skeletons are cool. I'm going to get myself killed if I do this. Let's not do that. So, where was I? Boots. Yes. Boots allow me to increase my movement speed, which increases my maneuverability and my ability to both chase people and run away from them. And they also come with pretty significant stat bonuses. So I've got myself a pair of power treads, which are like probably the most generic, flexible pair of boots, because they allow you to increase whatever stat you want, and even switch between those increases during the game if you need the benefits of other stats. I'm just going to hide for a minute while I recoup some health. The next thing I'm going to buy is what's called a Hand of Midas. Now, not every hero plays Hand of Midas. I'm just going to grab that from the side shop because it is one half of Hand of Midas. There's a lot of... In general, the items in this game are how you customize your hero, essentially. Did I just stun a creep by accident? I did. Never mind. Looks like we're going to get the kill anyway. Then hopefully don't die. No, I traded. Now I've got reincarnation, which means hopefully I won't die as much because I'll get back up. So, what Hand of Midas lets you do is it allows you to rapidly turn creeps into gold. So it makes you better at farming. This allows heroes like Wraith King, who are relatively slow, to clear creeps more easily, which means they can get more money more quickly. Also, remember those bounty rooms I talked about a while ago? They respawn regularly, every 5 minutes to be precise. So I'm just going to go and grab these ones now.
By any measure. For the treasury.
So yeah, items. Opening this up again. Let's just pause the game and have a quick explain of this, because it is quite difficult to go through while playing. And I'm probably made a hash of it so far. From the top. Killing creeps gets you gold. Killing heroes also gets you gold. Gold buys you items. Items allow you to diversify your hero and increase their power in new ways. There are lots of different types of item. There's little consumables, such as these starting items. This tango allows me to eat trees to gain health. That's all it does. And it's only a small amount of health, but you know, if it keeps you alive early on, great. dying is bad. So Tango's good. There are small single piece items. That's this basics side. These are items in their own right, but they're also components for the more exciting items that come down the line. So you get consumables like mana potions, health potions. This thing gives you experience. We have like little stat items that give you just a small amount of a bonus. This thing gives you health regeneration. This thing gives you magic resistance. And then there's a few more exciting ones like a blink dagger, which lets you teleport, or a ghost scepter, which lets you become immune to physical damage for a bit, so your enemies can't hit you. They can only cast spells on you. There's a few things, but most of the exciting stuff is on the upgrades tab. So these are items that are comprised of these ones. They can be small. This Wraith Band is made up of 3 smaller items, but it only costs 500 gold-ish total, which is not very much in the grand scheme of things. In fact, I can afford one of these right now if I want. This Hand of Midas, you can, if I click on it, you can see it here. This is made of a thing that gives me a bonus to my attack speed, and a recipe, which is an item that does nothing, that just inflates the gold cost of the combined item. It's a balancing tool. But more excitingly, there's things like the Pipe of Insight, which is made of a bunch of different stuff and allows you to protect your team from enemy magical damage, or Blade Mail, which deflects damage done to you, or what else is exciting? Yule's Scepter of Divinity, which projects a tornado that whips an enemy up into the air, disabling them for a few seconds, or Armlet of Mordigan, which allows you to pay health for incredible amounts of damage. There's loads of cool combination items, and these are used to enhance the capabilities of your heroes or to modify them to react to what your opponent is doing. I mentioned this pipe, which allows you to be safer against enemy magical damage. If your opposing team doesn't have a ton of heroes that deal lots of magical damage, Pipe of Insight's kind of useless. If they have heroes that do a lot of magical damage, like for instance this Zeus, who spends the entire game throwing lightning around, Pipe of Insight's really good. So some of these items are situational. Some items are a trade-off between doing things in the early game and doing things in the late game. Midas, Hand of Midas, is a very late game item. It costs a bunch, and then what does it give you? More gold? Fine. So it takes a while for this to pay off. But eventually, it allows you to rack up tons of gold and buy all these expensive long game items that will pay off if you can survive and push for a win later. I thought I would do this build because it's more exciting to watch. So I'm going to do basically do nothing for a while, which is great because it gives me a chance to explain things like the map and farming and lanes and stuff. And then later on, I'll get real big, real tanky, and real scary, and we'll go and march down the enemy half of the map and kill all this stuff. But, some games, maybe I'll build this on Wraith King. Some games, maybe I'll go for something faster. I might build the amulet that I mentioned earlier, which is quite a cheap item, but it makes me very powerful. It's not as powerful if the game takes 45 minutes to an hour, which is, a long Dota game. But if the game is, if you're 25 minutes in and you're doing a lot of fighting, Armlet's really good. Whereas Midas might not have paid off at that point. So these items allow you to customize the way you play the game, the way you play your hero, and the way you adapt to the enemy. And that's what makes them compelling. They allow you to adjust your playstyle on the fly, provided, of course, you can afford them. Some heroes are very heavily built to synergize with specific items, and vice versa. Some items are useless outside of certain heroes. Some items are more commonly bought by support heroes, which don't tend to do direct fighting. Other items are usually bought by heroes that can spend a lot of time killing creeps to get lots of gold, and then get items that give them immense amounts of stats, so they can go in and fight the enemy directly. Wraith King's more the latter. I'm going to be building Midas, and then building this thing called a Radiance, which is a massive flaming sword that burns things around me. And Radiance allows you to kill creeps really quickly, as well as dealing pretty significant damage to enemy heroes over time. So once I have Midas and Radiance, I'm quite scary, but also I can just hoover up gold around the map and get a bunch of other big items very fast. This is kind of a late game strategy that will make me very, very powerful at the expense of some early game, which is, you know, a trade-off I'm deciding to make. It's very similar to, you know, if you're probably watching me because you know me from Duelist, it's very similar to playing an aggro deck versus a control deck. If I play, like what I'm doing now is playing a control deck, I need to survive. He says wandering towards the enemy. I need to survive. Try and avoid being pressured out from the enemy. Oh my goodness. This is probably fine because my ultimate will keep me in the game, so let's not die for free here. So this is where Wraith King's great. So I just got back up, so I didn't give away that kill, and now we have all this room because my support friend killed the enemy bots for me. So this might allow me a bit of breathing room in which I can try and get my creeps to hit the enemy tower, especially my catapult. As you can probably guess, the catapults deal more damage to towers. I'm going to bring out my skeletons to help with this, actually. So, now I've cleared the wave of creeps. Oh, hey, okay, here's another one. Fine. I've got my skeletons in play. I'm going to try and get some damage in on this tower. If I can kill this tower, it opens up a large portion of the map for me to move around more comfortably. So you might have noticed earlier on that when I die, I'll typically buy a little scroll that lets me teleport back in. I'm actually going to die to this tower. Playing and explaining this game at the same time when you're not very good at it in the first place, it's quite difficult. But you know, we're getting there. We're getting there. Quite close to this as well. Come on, Witch Doctor, one more shot. Do it. Yeah. Good boy. Alright. So now, yeah, I mentioned earlier that I can teleport back in after I've died using one of these teleport scrolls, which they cost a small amount of gold, and they have a long cooldown, but they allow you to transport yourself to any friendly building in a few seconds. Blowing up towers from the enemy team is really good for multiple reasons, but one of those is that they give you freedom to move. So I can walk here, and my enemies can't necessarily town portal in to stop me. Let's hit this sniper a bit, shall we? Sniper has dealt me a lot of damage by clicking me from far away during this laning stage, but he is pretty helpless if I just do this to him. Get back here. Okay. This should be a dead sniper. You see how I just transmuted that creep into gold? That's the Hand of Midas working. I'll put that over here. So now we're pushing the tier 2 tower, as this is called. The towers are kind of named based on how far into the lanes they are. And they get more powerful as you go, so we might not be able to push this one just yet. Especially as we're quite deep into enemy territory at this point, and we can't see around us. Speaking of seeing, there's one really important aspect of this game that I haven't covered yet. That's vision. And specifically, these little things called wards. A ward is a small magical item. They're right here. They're on a limited supply because they're really powerful. It gives you vision around it. Wards are really important because they let you protect yourself. You can see if the bad guys are coming and run away. There's also sentry wards that can detect invisible things, like wards, which are invisible. Oh, hello, sniper. I don't think I actually want to fight him at this point. So now that I've got my Hand of Midas... Ooh, this is bad. Now that I've got my Hand of Midas, my plan is to spend as much time as possible killing creeps, which means that I probably shouldn't be wandering in to fight Dragon Knight and not doing anything. My plan is to get hold of this Radiance as quickly as possible. But I think I'm going to buy a couple of wards first so I can protect myself while I farm.
I'm always at my best.
So when you buy things, they go into this stash. Oh, that's convenient timing. Which just shows you what you've purchased. But there's a small creature called the courier that can fly your items out to you. It's a little kind of Tesco's delivery service of Dota. Ooh, is there a catapult? You know what Hand of Midas is really good against? Catapults. Let's make a bunch of skeletons. I can't control the skeletons. They just kill things automatically. They attack the thing that's nearest to them. But that's fine. Like, that's all you need, really. They are surprisingly fast and do a surprising amount of damage, which allows you to just run down lanes with them. They're very good at pressuring towers. So I'm just going to call in the courier to give you these wards. And the wards will help me tell where the bad guys are in relation to myself. This allows me to stay safe while I'm farming, which, as a reminder, is slang term for killing creeps to get gold and experience. Which means that I will die less. 20 attack speed sounds like a good idea if I need to click on a lot of creeps. So the skeletons are going and... Oh, they're trying to attack this wave of creeps down here. Now there's two other heroes here, which means that my time spent farming these is not very efficient. But I'm going to go and... Oh, no, my skeletons did it first. I was going to say, I'm going to go and help them out. Right, I've got these wards now, so I can place them. And you see where this blue area is? It will actually be able to see where my enemies are in that whole region. I'll tell you what, before I do that, let's hit this tower, shall we? Now, I don't want to discredit the two friendly heroes that help do that, but the skeletons are really, really good at pushing towers. This works really well now for me because I can put a ward here, which allows me a lot of vision over whether the enemies are entering this area of the jungle. This means I can farm in their jungle relatively safely. I can see on the minimap there's a bunch of enemies up there. And in fact, they're trying to wrap around and kill us. So let's put a stop to that, shall we? Hi, friends. Hope you like skeletons. Cheeky Midas on that. And that's a dead sniper. And that's a dead Zeus. So as you can see, I'm doing a lot more now. Let's stun this. When you stun enemies, your skeletons automatically attack them. Sweet. Okay, I need to leave now. I'm going to die. Eat this so I have mana to get back up again. Because getting back up when you die costs mana. Ha! Alright. Got him. Oh no! That's alright. When I get back up, I'll kill him. Apparently not. Oh, of course, because I used my mana on the stun. That was my fault. I was distracted and got hungry. Alright, so, that said, I should probably go back to farming now, rather than getting distracted by killing the enemies. Like I told you, I'm not very good at this game. So, these enemies are pushing into my tower, which is quite bad. So I'm going to grab a TP scroll and go out to defend it. A big part of controlling the momentum of a game in Dota is keeping the lanes... how do I explain this without using jargon? So, when you kill creeps like this, you do two things. You get golden experience, that's good. But you also cause your creeps, and by extension, the fighting in the lane, to be further towards the enemy than it was before. Right, so now because I've killed that wave, there's fighting here now. Because I'm kind of tipping the balance, right, by being big and strong. I'm going to leave some skeletons to deal with these, and I'm going to go and get the runes, so that we have money. Mustn't forget to use my Hand of Midas on cooldown. And now that I've done this, I can go to the secret shop, which they aren't actually very secret, there's just shops kind of here near the middle of the map, which give special items, like the Sacred Relic, which is 1/2 of Radiance. So now, thanks to my skeletons, the wave is over here. And this is called pushing. You can kind of guess why, right? I'm pushing the wave towards my opponents. This means that enemy towers will take damage. And at some point, the enemy team is going to have to come back and respond to this, right? In the same way that I took my TP scroll and I teleported up to the tower at the top to defend it. Now, the enemy team is going to have to respond to this in some way. Or lose the tower. I guess they'll just lose the tower. I wonder if I can get this one. I'm not going to fight them all at once. That would be a terrible idea. So I'll just let them clear the wave, which is a luxury that I have because it's pushed out. And I'm just going to leave. I'm just going to walk away and go and do the same thing somewhere else. Why don't I kill these creeps while I'm here? I still have a ward, which actually would be a good idea to put down here, so that I have an idea of whether something is going to come to kill me, like this Zeus, who is probably going to die, actually, if I go on him. Yeah, Zeus is sandwiched between me and one of my teammates, so he should just die here. And there he's gone. And this allows us to keep pushing out the lane. So there's a few enemies here. This is going to be a big fight now. I guess we start by doing a stun. Ooh, that was good. That was a bit exciting, wasn't it? Shame I wasn't looking directly at that when I hadn't. Whoop. So we're now pushing up onto what's called the high ground, which is like this little area at the back. This is the enemy's base. As you can see, they've all just respawned and they're coming for us. And we should leave. Our teammates would like to. That'd be great. And I know that I finished my radiance, so actually maybe I'm just going to sit here and fight and wait for the courier to show up. And maybe break this tower in. Should kill the sniper, he's more important. Much scarier. Part of the reason I picked Wraith King for this was that he has a stun, which means you get to kind of see how important stuns are. Right, I now have my Radiance, which means that I'm going to start burning things around me. These buildings here, these are called barracks. And you gain access to them once you've destroyed the tier 3 tower. If you remember earlier, we talked about towers coming in layers. If you kill the barracks, your creeps in the lane get stronger. So we're going to start spawning bigger and bigger creeps now. These buildings are irrelevant, but the creeps will kill them, so it's sometimes better to take them. Okay, I'm probably overdoing it now. Let's leave. But that was really good. So we've pushed the lane all the way in here. We've destroyed these towers, which means that our creeps are going to naturally move towards them. And we've destroyed their barracks, which means our creeps are going to beat theirs in combat, which gives us a lot of potency. I'm going to clear these large junk creeps here. Oh yeah, that's what happens. These are called Ancients. They're larger and tougher than normal jungle creeps. So they're like the hardest things to farm. You usually can't kill them for quite a while into the game. Can you kind of see the little fire effect coming off these creeps? That's my radiance damage. The Ancients are immune to it, but these other creeps aren't. What's better, it makes them angry, so they run at me. So I don't even have to go all the way over to them to attack them. Just kind of stand near them and they'll charge at me. So now I'm getting very rich very quickly, which means I can buy some scary stuff. I get a Blink Dagger, which allows us to teleport on people and stun them. I like the sound of this Assault Cuirass, which makes my team attack faster and take less damage, and their team take more damage. So I think I might get one of those. And a Blink Dagger as well. I'm using a hotkey, Shift Control, to queue things up in this little shortcut bar down here. You'll see that some things are lit up in gold, which means I can afford them. And some things are lit up in red, which means I can afford them, but I have to get them from the secret shop, which is here. And there's another one like there. You see the little triangle on the map where my cursor is? That's the other side secret shop. I'm going to get this Hyperstone, which gives me a massive bonus to my attack speed. So now, I started off really slow and clunky, but now I'm going to be hitting people very, very fast. Given that I also get attack speed from an upgrade I took at level 10, and my Hand of Midas, which gives a significant attack speed bonus. So I'm hitting really quickly now, which is great, because that means more damage, and more damage means more killed things, which means more points, more gold, more XP, more skeletons, because I get skeleton charges when I kill things. All coming up Millhouse. I'll just Midas that. You'll notice that my attacks are positively snappy at this point. Because I can see that a few of the enemies are up there dealing with creeps, I'm just going to get some pressure in here. Let's get some skeletons out, because the skeletons are incredible against towers. Like, there's a bunch of them and they're fast and angry. Okay, the enemy team are coming back to defend themselves, and I think I'll just leave. Or at least wait for my team. We don't really need to go in hard here. Well, I mean, if we are fighting, then let's fight. This Necrophos is super dead. It's that big exciting thing there. That's Warlock's Golem. His ultimate ability, which is like the long cooldown ability, similar to my Reincarnation, makes a massive Golem. I'm getting shot by a tower. I don't like that. Let's stun this Dragon Knight. I have mana and availability for my Reincarnation, so may as well just like push in, take damage. I'm attacking really quickly now, so this tower is going to fall pretty quickly with a bunch of us shooting at it. Earthshaker is throwing out his Fissure, which is that big line of rock. It stuns people and blocks movement. It's a really powerful disruptive ability. And now with the tower down, the barracks are unlocked. So we're really, really ahead here. So, just to be clear, my team is winning this game enormously. We are very, very far ahead in the game. Getting shot by sniper, but I don't think I really care very much. Just wait for that. That glowy shield makes the buildings invulnerable for a brief period of time. Okay, let's not fight into their tier 4 towers. See this thing here, by the way? That's an ancient. Dota stands for Defense of the Ancients. And in the lore is that we're trying to prevent those buildings from being destroyed. So if we blow up the enemy team's Ancient, we win. So we're very close now. We've got to take down those tier 4 towers, the ones that are right next to it, that you saw earlier. Right here. So we've got to take those down. And then we've got to destroy the Ancient itself, which is not the easiest thing, because there's a lot of health. And then we win. Actually, straight up win the game. Right, I'm going to try and prevent my Witch Doctor friend from dying here, because they were very good to me in the laning stage. I'm getting shot by Sniper, but I have Reincarnation up and enough health and life gain from my my passive ability, Vampiric Aura, which makes me restore health when I hit things. But, like, I don't really care. Hey, Necrophos. Would you like to get hit a lot? Hey, Sniper. Come to me. Come to me. And stun. Stun. And dead Sniper. Dead Sniper. So at this point, with my large health pool, reasonable defensive abilities, and Reincarnation, I'm really powerful. I can just walk into people and, like, not massively care. And my team is also protecting us. Like, obviously they're contributing stuns, they're contributing damage. Witch Doctor has a healing spell that works in an AoE. Go away. Oh no, I died to something. But it's fine, because Reincarnation is busted. Do you mind? I'm also very rich at this point from all this killing, but I think we'll just win the game instead of buying more items. That seems like a good idea, doesn't it? Are the bots going to try and stop me? Well, they tried, but then Earthshaker looked at them funny, so they went away. And that's the game. One victory for the forces of Dire against the forces of Radiant. The Ancient explodes and leaves a surprising lack of hole in the floor. And I win. So that was something of a lopsided game. We got a lot of kills. So, that was Dota. And a hopefully reasonable explanation of such. Just to kind of summarize all of that, all of what we saw. Your main objective in Dota is to blow up the enemy ancient. How do you do that? Well, there's a bunch of towers in the way, so you have to push them over first. You have to do them in order as well. They go all the way out to these tier 1s that at the start of the game could just kill you. You can't threaten a tower early on. They'll just destroy you easily. So you need to level up. There's also these enemy players in the way, which are, in the early game, like, not as much of a threat as the towers, but still a threat. And unlike the towers, they can come after you and they can move. And they can stun you and do other nasty things. So we don't like those. So we need to farm by killing creeps to get gold and experience so that we can be better and stronger. And we need to stop the enemy from doing the same thing as much as we can by killing the creeps first, killing the enemy, dealing them damage so they have to run away, killing them so they spend time out of lane, trying to like move the creeps around by like manipulating their AI so they come closer to you and further from the enemy. This is a thing you can actually do in this game. It's really cool. I can't do it. All this sort of stuff, which allows you to get an edge on your opponent and to level up enough to threaten those pesky towers. Then, when you're ready, you fight the enemy team, you get them out of the way, you push down a tower, and you've made a permanent, measurable, objective foothold in the game. You have furthered your progress. Do that enough times and you'll further your progress all the way to the enemy base and blow up their ancient and win the game. Along the way, as you level up, you unlock abilities and make those abilities more powerful. And you get gold, which allows you to buy items, which allow you to diversify your hero's capabilities and react to what the enemy is doing with protective abilities and counters. Each hero has its own set of stats, its own set of powers, its own strengths and weaknesses. There's a massive cast of heroes and they all do different things. And there's something for every playstyle or challenge level. There's some heroes that are like nearly impossible to play and some heroes that are very straightforward, like Wraith King. Although I still managed to die a lot because streaming is hard. You'll start off buying small items, putting levels in your early abilities, which, don't do a huge amount, but just stunning someone for half a second can turn the tide of a little skirmish, so everything counts. And then by the end game, you're buying these like 5,000 gold items if you're a farming hero who's gone for these big, powerful plays. Or maybe you're a support and you're just wandering around, stunning people, putting up wards, destroying enemy wards, protecting your team, scouting the enemy, buying these items to like defend you, make your team invisible, move the enemy around, all this stuff, manipulating the flow of the game so that your damage dealers can beat their damage dealers up. Supports are really important, by the way. Supports for the win. And everything in between. There are heroes whose job it is to just kill the enemy team until they lose. Like very aggressive heroes, where if they get to the late game, they probably don't do as much, but early on they're just really good at killing the enemy. There are heroes whose job it is to just like disappear into the jungle after a bit in the lane and come out 20 minutes later with 1,000,000 items and murder the enemy, and that's it. That's what they do. And as the enemy team, the onus is kind of on you to stop them. They're like a time bomb. There are heroes that have 3 different stuns, or there are heroes that have can set people on fire and do damage over time, or take away their abilities, or turn them into pigs, or sing a song that makes everyone fall asleep. There's all sorts of stuff that you can do to get ahead in the game, mess up your opponents. So, why do I enjoy it? After all that, the whole point was like to kind of show off a little bit of what the game is and why people play and what's interesting about it. So why do I like Dota? Number one, it's satisfying. Like when you last hit a creep and you get, the sounds mixed nicely, the hits are quite bassy. Like when you get that jingle of gold, feel that visceral satisfaction, right? That's the game review word, right? Visceral. It's compelling. That's another one. But it really is. It's quite satisfying. Like because it's hard, last hitting, and because like that makes it interesting. Because if you just had to kill the creeps regardless, everyone would just click on them at some point and that would be it. But because that last bit matters, it makes a relatively mundane activity require focus and challenge, and it makes it different for every hero because they all do different amounts of damage, and their attack animation matters, and how your animation lines up with the enemy team's animation matters, and like whether they're a ranged hero or a melee hero. Like that one mechanic that kind of sounds like a pain in the ass makes that early game so much more interesting. All the details that from the outside sound like they'd just be a faff. Like, why are there so many items? Why do I have so many abilities? Why are there so many heroes? Like, why do I have to care about all this stuff? But everything has a purpose and a real is a measurable tool in your toolbox in the game, and it makes it, even when you're not good at it, like, you don't have to be particularly experienced with all the stuff to like at least appreciate it and see it and try and do it, and that process is fun for me. The other thing is that the game is incredibly strategically interesting. There's so much to do on both the micro and macro level, and there's so much to learn as well. Dota is probably quite difficult to learn by yourself. There's a lot of good videos out there by people who are much better than me, which will tell you how to play it. But for me, the number one most useful thing was the friend I mentioned earlier. I think I mentioned earlier. That might have been an earlier take. My friend Ollie introduced me to Dota in a big way, and he's been teaching me. He and some other friends, but mostly him. And Ollie, if you ever watch this video, thanks, dude. I really appreciate it. He's been teaching me to play, and it does help a ton having somebody, even just a little bit more experienced, kind of coach you and like maybe play a hero that can protect you in the game, give you a bit of space to experiment. But like, you know, even if you're just playing by yourself, that's what the bots are for. Like, humans are scary, and if you don't want to play against humans, that's absolutely fine. I think when I installed Dota, my intention was just to never touch the ladder and just play it, you know, as a co-op PvE game. Just play against the bots. And it is fun like that. You can even get like different bot AI packs. I left them on the default for this, but this one, Bot Experiment Credit Furious Puppy, that's the one I normally play with. They're really interesting. They're good bots. Changing the script really changes like the feel of the game against the bots, which can help because they tend to do similar things each time. So playing with a different script can mix it up. And yeah, just having like this game that is inherently satisfying. You know, it's shiny, it's chunky, it's colorful. The spells feel good to cast. The clicking on things feels good. Last hitting feels good. Leveling up feels great, right? It's like an entire World of Warcraft playthrough. Not that you finish World of Warcraft, but you know what I mean, right? Like leveling a World of Warcraft hero up, but condensed into half an hour, and you can just do it again and again. And that's very satisfying. Combined with the immense level of intellectual engagement that you can have with the game, and if you want, the practice of trying to learn it and trying to get better at it. That's something that I also really enjoy. But the number one best thing about Dota intellectually, though, is just watching it. It is far and away my favorite esport to watch, and was catapulted to that position when I barely knew what it was, and Ollie was like telling me what all the heroes did while we were watching it. Because of the leveling up and the way some heroes are good early and some heroes are good late, and how complex it is, there's a real sense of narrative to every game that develops in sometimes unpredictable ways over the course of it. So watching matches between relatively well-balanced teams is just phenomenally cool. And that was one of the things that really got me into the game, was like just loving watching it. So if you aren't necessarily interested in playing the game, but you like watching esports, give Dota 2 a watch. Like, it's so good. It has displaced Street Fighter as my favorite esport to watch. There's another tip if you want it. Street Fighter, top tier. Right. I have been talking for a solid hour. If you've watched this far, thank you. If this was interesting or good, or, well, if it was bad, maybe don't tell me. But yeah, what did you think of this? I haven't really made content for games that I'm not that good at before, or at least particularly educational content. And I haven't really made a ton of content for action games before. I'm not used to playing in real time and talking at the same time. And, you know, I like the turn timer where I can just sit there and physically do nothing and talk through my decisions. It's very hard in a game like this. So, like, how did I do? You know, what did you think? And would you like to see more? Let me know. Thank you, everybody, and I will see you next time.